Hello, Year 7. So 138 of you came to Miss Wanstall's webinar where she went through the work for this week. I only had one job, which was to press record at the beginning, and I didn't press record for the first few minutes. So this video are the few minutes that I missed. Fortunately, I was watching her webinar, so I can explain it. And then the second video is the rest of Miss Wanstall's notes and webinar. So the first thing she did was talk about these starter questions, just to remind you of some things. So she put up some polls about which bone was labeled there, so that was the skull, and what were the following examples of, and that they were all organs, because so we've got cells, tissues, and organs, and that this was a microscope. So that was just the starter. But then we went on to talking about these different things. So we had a light versus an electron microscope. And Miss talked about the fact that the microscopes we've got in school, light microscopes, only allow us to see certain things. So the cytoplasm inside, the cell membrane and the nucleus, because those are big things. But with an electron microscope, we can see things that are much smaller at better resolution. So we could see the mitochondria and ribosomes and really small things as well. And then she talked about what those things were. So we talked about the fact that the nucleus, which is not the brain, it is the thing that has the DNA that controls the cell, and that we have the mitochondrion, or plural is mitochondria, and that this is where energy is released. She made a very important point that that's a really important word, released, and that we don't say made or produced. It is released. That's very important, that word. And then the cytoplasm is the jelly, if you like, where all of the chemical reactions take place inside the cell. Also gives the cell, it's what fills up the middle of the cell. We've got the membrane, which runs around the outside, and this is able to control what goes in and out of the cell. And that goes all the way around. It's not just around the edges. You've got to remember this is 3D. So this is an animal cell, and the ribosome here are these tiny little things, and that's where protein gets made. And then she asked you to be able to name this part of the cell. So it pointed at this one, and that was the nucleus. She then went on to this table. So you need to, when you do your work, you need to fill in this table and say what the job of each of these things is. So what structure it's got, where it is, and what its job is. You might use Google to help you find some of those, or go back in the video. And then we got to here, and I remembered to press record. So I'm going to stop now, and you can watch video 2, which is Miss Wanstall.